compliance shouldn't be seen as a blocker. Everybody thinks we're the bad guy. We're really not. We're creative, out-of-the-box thinkers. We try to think of creative ways to get around that.
Before we begin and before we get into the details, it would be great to understand how does your day-to-day look like? If you can give a brief about what is your current role about, and what does your company do, Cedar?
So I'm the compliance manager at Cedar Cares. We are an end-to-end patient billing platform that also engages our patients, our hospitals, as well as our providers to ensure that we have financing options, payment options available for our patients, and that full end-to-end billing cycle. I'm responsible for overseeing our compliance program holistically, from everything from training requirements, policy acknowledgements, writing, drafting, internal and external audits, and anything and everything else that comes in our day-to-day, including breaches and changes in regulation and all that super fun stuff that I just live for.
What are the current challenges that you face? What are the the top 3 things that you must have faced? Or is there something unique that you have created in your journey so far? And that is something that, maybe a lot of people might have used.
I've had the opportunity to get into this space by accident and found that it was it really was my calling. Previously, anything that had to do with legal or organization or healthcare, I was extremely interested in and excelled at. When I moved into this space by chance, I found it very difficult to break into some of those groups and have my voice heard without some of those foundational certifications right off the bat, like, your CCP or your lead auditor, or what do you have documented to show that you are an expert in this avenue? So that was difficult for me. And I quickly pivoted and addressed that, got some foundational certifications. But as a female, getting a seat at the table was an issue at some organizations. I have found that relationship building will get you so far. Also, explaining what you do in your role and why you're asking what you're asking. You're trying to make a process change. Why? Well, from a compliance perspective, we can spit out a number of regulations, letters, numbers, dots, all the super fun stuff. But at the end of the day, that's going to mean nothing to a sales professional. So incorporating how that impacts their day-to-day from a compliance perspective, I think really garners that support from others. And that has been a huge aspect of my career that's been very helpful in getting collaboration.
After I have spoken to so many leaders, I've understood that, of course, compliance and security is not the same. There's a lot of difference. Of course, they might complement each other. But how do you measure success when you're managing compliance frameworks? What do you present to your board?
Oh, that's a great question too. And again, I think this goes to the organization. So as far as metrics collection, depending upon the organization, but I have found the most necessary is going to be, of course, your metrics. And this is all going to tie to what kind of certification body or framework that you're mapped back to. Are you offboarding your employees within that 24-hour window or whatever SLA you have determined? Are you responding to incidents timely and managing your vulnerabilities timely as well, depending on their criticality level? But in addition to that, I like to get a little creative. So for instance, external audits. A lot of times you will have a subject matter expert on hand from another team. And that subject matter expert tends to be a member of executive leadership, some sort of senior leadership. So the time to have that resource attend that audit interview to attain your certification, you've just doubled or tripled depending upon your audience. So I have found it super helpful in talking about GRC automation to have a GRC application that can feed all of these data and metrics into the platform and provide you a population of what you need to look at for these audit interviews without your subject matter experts on hand. I think to really be successful in GRC in 2024 moving forward, you need to know a little bit of everything for that organization and speak to it.
I think somewhere while I was checking out your LinkedIn, I came across that you're also a part of Women in Trust.
Yes.
So how does that feel to be the forerunner in terms of women empowerment?
Well, I think for me, this is a pivotal moment in my career to finally reach that stage when I'm able to speak with my colleagues that previously I had stepped back and watched and just fangirled over in the GRC space. I am very lucky in that I used to work with the CISO at SafeBase previously, Lisa Hall. And she reached out and suggested this opportunity to speak at Women in Trust. And I jumped at the opportunity. It's so exciting to be able to speak to other women looking to get a foothold in this career space or leverage their career further than it already is. So I'm honored.
Okay, so would sales enablement be a part of this? Because you mentioned about answering questions. What does a list of questions look like? Is it massive? Or do you guys have a template from where, or some sort of the software inbuilt? Or do you actually manually write each and every, check out each and every question, write the answers? How does it go?
I am a true believer in enabling our teams to be successful independent of our hand-holding. So our sales team, we have supported an arm of their sales team to complete those questionnaires that you might see from a potential or existing client or even a vendor. And plug them in to automate the extraction of the answers from our answer bank. So this has really enabled those teams to not wait for us to fulfill a request, and additionally be able to speak to that more intimately than a regular sales professional might be.
Maybe for people who might want to get into compliance or something that will be like a starting game for them. Would this be a long-term goal to get frameworks in place? So what would your short-term goal look like, or how does your long-term goal look like for a company like this?
Long-term goal. Well, we are first in class for our accessibility in the Cedar application, which is wonderful. I would love to get it to a place where our frameworks encompass GDPR requirements. I think that framework is a little bit more conducive and friendly to the patient. And I would really like to see us move into that space here in the US. I think right now we allow a lot of wiggle room for our providers and our managed care entities. And I would like to see a lot more support for our patients. Every day, morning, noon, and night, I am breathing HIPAA. Everywhere from, are you writing down your password and keeping it by your desk? You would be surprised how many people do that. In addition, mapping back to that HIPAA security framework, which we are currently in our first round, SOC 2 Type 2 certification, even though it's not a certification, and our high trust interim revalidation, as well as our annual HIPAA assessment. So knocking all those boxes off.
Maybe I don't know if I should ask you this next question because you make it look so swift. Is there any burnout at Cedar? And if it is there in any way, how do you manage that? What do you do for relaxation? What do you do on weekends?
We are a very lean team here at Cedar right now with only 3 on our team. So burnout is a very real thing. I think burnout exists for anyone. I mean, I'm sure you've had a situation where you've been burnt out. So if I'm getting burnt out, it's not by the workload I have here at Cedar. It's because I want to do my best, not just for the organization, but for my peers, for our clients, future, existing, and the patient set that we also oversee. I think for me, when I'm experiencing burnout, is relying on the team, being able to know that I am going to lead by leading and delegate this task to someone. Maybe they need a little bit of support to get up to speed. I think that's wonderful. Additionally, we try to take the lead in areas that we are most experienced in. So my colleague, our other compliance manager, will oversee this area and I'll oversee this area, and switch, train each other up, make sure that we have coverage if we want to take off, and just look out for one another. Another great thing is Cedar has unlimited PTO. So I do take advantage of that and go hiking and camping and hanging out with the dogs.
Is there a hangout place as well? Like maybe in the city where maybe, for coffee, or it can be, what is your favorite place?
Can I say a football game, the Colts game?
Oh.
You can have a beer and watch a sports game and have a great conversation. I mean, you can't beat that.
So is there some place that you go to learn? Say, for example, you want to upgrade. It's not about getting new certifications. Like, where do you go to learn? Are there any particular publishers?
I have a number of avenues that I like to go through. Obviously, Amazon is one of my favorite. They have some great certifications that don't even cost any money. So you want to go learn how to audit the AWS Management Console? Great, it's free. I'm a huge proponent of Health Ethics Compliance Association. In addition to ISACA, High Trust has some great learning materials that I've really ingested. A little bit nerdy, but I also really like the PCI DSS trainings that are available. Some of the certifications they have are from a auditor perspective or just from an implementation perspective. And I love that. I love that.
This is almost off the topic, but I see that you also have something which might seem like a beverage company.
Oh, yes. I have many interests. They're quite varied. I am a investor in a liquor brand called Hercules Mulligan. And we have many other libations. We actually just opened a draft house in New York City. So I encourage everyone to come on down and check it out, have a drink.
Do you think AI will disrupt? Or do you think it's going to be the next big thing in the GRC world as well?
Well, I have mixed feelings about AI, honestly, but who doesn't?
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely see this becoming, or if it is not already, because I think it's encroached upon us, definitely become the big thing in GRC. I think we definitely need more regulations in this area. We don't have anything truly defined, and a lot of our control frameworks aren't yet accounting for AI in some of their risk frameworks. So this is a concern of mine as well. I'm a huge proponent of CSA, Cloud Security Alliance. I love their matrix. They have some incorporations into their model that I really believe in. But at the end of the day, I think we're a little bit far away. These AI models require a lot of human intervention and oversight to work out the kinks.
Correct.
Data integrity is also an issue I'm seeing the model to be able to read. I think for me as a GRC professional, my biggest concern is someone plopping a business sensitive report into one of these AI chatbots and trying to spit out something that should not be sent through an AI chatbot. Do you wonder what the forefront of like PHI blockers is going to be? When we're talking about ChatGPT or even Gemini and Google.
Yeah.
So if you have a Jira board, you can get the PHI scrubbers and blockers for that and Slack. How are we going to implement this with AI? How is that going to look? What is this next ideation of PHI protections going to look at? I'm really interested to see what that's going to look like.
That being said, does CEDA use any AI right now or any tool?
Currently, we're only looking at chatbots for our public-facing website. It's a huge risk. It's a huge risk, especially in healthcare. And there are also many, many ways that we're going to have humans intervene before that could ever be rolled out to our client base. And we would feel comfortable with that.
So thanks for that. And one quote, just a generic quote about work and life.
Well, if it's about work, I would say it all starts with policy. Policy is the foundation of any organization's solid compliance program. It's got to start with policy.
And about life?
Just give yourself some grace. Be good to yourself, and the world will be good to you in return, I think.